Call this meeting to order. Let the roll call show everyone here except Mayor Clace from St. Cloud. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
No changes.
All right, we'll remember that. I need approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Consent agenda, items 5 through 8.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Is anyone here for open forum?
Here we have Chris Olson, fixed rod operator. I'd like to say a few words.
Okay.
So, in some towns, I've noticed that some of the roads have been pretty bad with ice, and that's been kind of an issue that I've noticed at least a few times when some of our buses have tried to get going from a dead stop. And I'm wondering if there's any way to maybe get the ice to be more broken up so that our buses can get a little bit more traction on the roads, or at least something that the public works can do, because it's not an issue on the more traveled roads. It's more on roads that are less traveled, like 2nd Street North and Wade Park is less traveled, so there's a bit more ice on roads like those. And some of our buses, when we go to make turns at even 5 miles an hour, our back ends sometimes seem to kick out a little bit. And it's not just with my bus. I've seen it with other buses when I've just been driving in my personal vehicle, or driving, or even when I was a school bus driver previously. And I was just thinking, is there some way we can safely go about making it so that ice isn't really necessarily an issue for public transit anymore? But I just thought I would bring it up for safety reasons.
Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can all take it back to our public works people. About the only thing that works, to be honest with you, is salt, and
Yeah.
it depends on the temperature if salt works or not. And I know they got very slippery when it melted,
Yeah.
and now it froze. Now everything is slick. Yeah.
That's for
The rain
sure.
didn't help.
No, the rain didn't help.
The rain messed it up.
All right, thanks.
But Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I can make a comment, Ryan, is there a way that if there's certain areas in town, wherever it is, can you get that to us though? I mean, call the city administrator,
We
call
do
the
that,
maintenance,
yeah.
do
We
you?
work with the public works.
Okay,
So
great.
they're
All right,
in that
I mean, if
All right,
there's
good.
issues, give them a call.
St. Ben's is one that I can think of off the top of my head, or, remind me, what's that, out by the prison out there? That hill?
Yeah, that's it.
St. Benedict's,
St.
yeah.
Benedict's.
No. So that's an example. There's the hill in Sauk Rapids we always have issues with.
Our plows slide backwards down that one. I can imagine your buses do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely, and for St. Cloud, I work quite frequently with Dan over there, Dan Leggett, and Zabra, I can never say his last name. Anyways, I work with quite often.
You work with
so.
Pete in Sauk Rapids, or?
I think he's the one that we've dealt with the bill.
Okay, yeah, he's the department head.
Yeah.
All right. General business. Anybody else for open forum? All right. Item number 9, recognition of CEO Ryan Daniel National Safety Council Award for CEOs who get it. Nate?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So it's my honor to recognize or to present Ryan, our CEO Ryan Daniel, as one of the National Safety Council's CEOs who get it being safety for 2022. I think there was 7 award recipients, and Ryan was one of them. It's a nationwide award. So proud of Ryan on that. As you're aware, Ryan has a deep commitment to the health and wellness of all stakeholders at Metrobus. The safety of Metrobus employees, customers, and the public is a top priority for Ryan and our leadership team, and this award is emblematic of that. A few of the many initiatives that Ryan has championed during his tenure at Metrobus include changes to keep employees and customers safe during the COVID pandemic, development of our training and safety department, which continues to initiate programs and changes that have become an example for other agencies throughout the state. Ryan and his team has developed safety improvements which reduced preventable accidents by 55% from 2017 through 2021, and we've continued to trend down with that. Development and implementation of the Metrobus safety program was the key management factor in that improvement. We've also developed an employee well-being program with a committee who organize events and campaigns designed to maintain and improve employee well-being, morale, and camaraderie, and Ryan's been a champion for that initiative. And then lastly, Ryan and the executive team have consistently provided upgrades to facilities and practices to further protect employees and customers, including improvements to landscaping at the transit center in downtown St. Cloud, instituting a passenger code of conduct, safety signage throughout our facilities and buses, new rules in the garages at the operations center here, and bringing online the CNG buses that protect the air quality in the garages as well as around town. I'll just finish up with the fact that Ryan's efforts have led to Metrobus becoming increasingly proficient in accomplishing our mission to provide safe, reliable, and friendly transportation services to the communities of St. Cloud, Rapids, Sartell, and Way Park, and we will continue to work tirelessly towards the aspirational goal of 0 accidents under Ryan's leadership.
Just not today.
All right.
No excuse. We'd like to do a picture with you guys if you don't mind.
All right.
Well, I guess it came to the right one.
Come on, Dave. Don't run away. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But you didn't get a plaque or a check or anything?
I know.
Yeah.
National Safety Council.
A lousy magazine cover, come on, Ryan.
Great park people.
He got a magazine that wasn't even addressed to him.
Right.
Get your step back a little more. All right, here we go, demo. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Hey,
you. Thank
congratulations.
You. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have a magazine for you two guys too. After
Will you sign it?
Not for free.
All right. Item 10, Resolution 2023-03, Western Transit Hub Local Funding Resolution.
Afternoon, Commissioners. It's kind of a mouthful for the title of that, but we're looking for approval with the resolution. This is kind of the starting point for the facility that we're planning on the Western Transit Hub. We do have three separate types of funding. This one is specifically for the bonding and for 5339 funds that will be transferred from the state. So two funding sources from the state, and then we'll be using federal dollars as well, but this resolution is specific to the 2 funding sources from the state.
All right, anybody, commissioners, got any questions?
The funding sources from Metrobus, where are those coming from? Is that a rainy day fund that we've had, or?
So that's we do have some money set aside that we've been putting aside for several years, and then the other we did put as part of the tax levy for the current year, just kind of an overall capital improvement rainy day fund, if you will.
Is any of that considered the ARPA funds or the COVID federal funds that were?
No, none of the funding for this is used for any capital, or I guess I should say any emergency relief funding that we've received, we will not be using for capital projects.
Sorry, one follow-up. It talks about any excess we are on the hook to cover. Where do we see excess funding coming from? What bucket or fund?
So again, we have funds set aside. We put those aside, kind of one of the priorities that we do each year when we close out each fiscal year. We do roll funds forward to the future capital projects. So if anything does go over those amounts, we would pull it from that designation fund.
And what's that fund at right now from a balance perspective? Or roughly?
If I want to say it off the top of my head,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd say about 6 million we're
Okay.
sitting at right now, but I can look it up real quick for you.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, anything else? Need a motion to approve that resolution?
Motion approved?
I do, yes, please.
Is there a second?
Yes, I do, sir.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got your resolution.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right. Number 11, Route 32 informational meetings update. Dave?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So February 13th, informational sessions were held at the Sartell City Hall. We had a morning session and an afternoon session, I guess if you want to look at it that way, more of an afternoon and an evening session. We had 9 attendees. We had 7 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Ryan attended the afternoon and had some questions that were answered, so feel free if you've got any comments
Sure.
from the meetings to jump in. We asked attendees to fill out comment sheets so that we could bring them back and share. Again, this meeting was meant to be more of just an informational session. If people had questions about the transition back to the Route 32, many came and were kind of confused about some things, so we were able to kind of clear some of those up, but there were certainly some individuals that came and shared some of their concerns with the transition, which we expected. Chris from David F. Day Apartments wrote a pretty lengthy document here that I had promised that I would share with the commission in addition to the comments that were shared on the sheet. So so she says, as a service coordinator for senior population, there's one big topic that has been receiving lots of attention in my professional realm, especially since COVID lockdowns. Social isolation and loneliness. Research has been brought forward that loneliness is more detrimental to health than smoking, alcohol use, or obesity. As early as 2018, loneliness levels reached new highs amongst the senior population. Imagine what it is now. Well, it's considered pandemic, especially with young adults almost twice more likely to suffer from loneliness than seniors. And almost 3/4 of the people who receive MA benefits are considered lonely. So I'm not talking about just the senior population here, but I suspect these groups are also your target audience. A published study discussed how the lack of social connection, which fosters social isolation and loneliness, heightens health risks as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or having alcohol use disorder. This researcher also found that loneliness and social isolation are twice as harmful to physical and mental health as obesity. Many of the residents do not drive anymore for a variety of reasons, cost, abilities, just like the other populations mentioned, and do not qualify for dial-a-ride. Their option is the bus. By not being able to easily access the bus, activities to lessen their social isolation is confined to where they can walk. I want you to think about that for a moment. You live alone in an apartment building. The only interaction you have with the amenities of the municipality you reside in is strictly limited to where you can walk. No restaurants, no grocery stores, no grocery shopping, nor meeting up with friends. This is why access to the bus is important. There are a great many limitations of the Metrobus system. I can't fathom in which way I can't even use the system to get to my job. But with Route 32, there is an opportunity to help improve the health of the senior population with careful planning. Walking out to Pinecone Road is a greater risk and distance than most of my residents are willing to travel, especially in winter. Crossing Pinecone Road is not something even I would be willing to do. I encourage Metrobus to plan the route to make access to Route 32 as nearby and convenient as possible to the multiple housing complexes in the area. For my little part of Sartell, I'd love to see the route bypass Pinecone between Scout and Troop Drives. North and south routes would travel along Troop Drive with a stop at the corner of 22nd and Troop. Other community services like the Whitney and Catholic Charities have started to implement programs to creatively help address the issue of social isolation and loneliness. Thoughtful planning with the mindset of preventing social isolation because of limited transportation options is an easy way for municipalities to address an important health issue at little to no additional budgetary costs. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this information that she presented, and we'll incorporate that into the long-range transit plan process. Again, I'll be brief here with the rest of the comments. This gentleman actually took pictures, that if anyone wants to see them, I'll keep them with the file, but he actually took pictures about his travel and what it looks like to him. He just said, "It's dangerous to cross traffic and roundabouts on foot. People don't stop for pedestrians. Snowbank crossing on foot can be treacherous. People would be forced to walk across the street. Frostbite would be a true danger many days out of the year. Shoveling of bus shelters, ice, bad weather in general. Safety and security issues, robbery risk for anybody, especially elderly. Visibility issues, especially expensive due to potential accidents, increase. Limited people to help after the dark or any hours traffic. Big open field areas, especially Pinecone Road, Coburn, snowdrifts. Rich class of people that may not even turn their head to help. Some are nice enough. I really enjoy the ability to go 3 to 4 places in an hour. Sharon says, handicapped, high risk for falls, use walker, can't walk distance to route changes, can't stand for more than a few minutes because of vertical balance. We appreciate the service, but I don't see this working for our residents in our building." So those were the comments that we received. Again, I'm going to incorporate these comments into the long-range plan and have them assessed as part of that. There were a few, that attended the meeting that were confused about some things, so we were able to clear that up, and there were a couple that had some questions about fares and about the dial-a-ride service, so we were able to kind of answer some questions there, and I guess one of the positive takeaways that I took away from the meeting was that there was, at the beginning of the meeting, there was a resident of the David Day Apartments there that was convinced she wasn't eligible for dial-a-ride, and so we kind of talked her through it, and Debbie was there and was able to kind of talk her through the process, and we kind of, hopefully she'll take the steps, but we've just reassured her that even though this isn't a doctor decision, you need to go through our assessment, and you may be eligible. So I certainly thought that was a positive, that if even one of these residents of the David Day Apartments was able to come and get that help and find out that they're potentially eligible, that was overall, I wouldn't say that it was a good or bad meeting. Again, Ryan was there, and so if you want to share some of your thoughts, but overall, I really felt that it was a positive meeting, and people came and they shared their thoughts, and that was fair, and we were able to clear up some misconceptions and some confusion, and so that was helpful. So.
Yeah, good. Ryan, you got anything?
Yeah, a couple things I'd add to that. I think the sentiments we heard there from David Day Apartment is very accurate. Geographically, if you look at City of Sartell comparative to St. Cloud, Wade Park, Sauk Rapids, very different from a density model. And so, we'll be hopeful that Route 32 can provide some value. But to David Day Apartment, I mean, it just doesn't touch the spots that it needs to. From a mass transit, it doesn't touch our community center where we have Great River Regional Library Services, right? So I haven't hid my disappointment that this board went away from Connex, and I guess opposed to the staff recommendation of continue that on. But Route 32 is going to come May 7th. And so we'll see how it happens, what happens with it, and what value it brings to our community.
All right, yeah, we'll see if that's what we're doing now, rerouting, or doing a new program for our routes, so that'll help anyway. Maybe
Well, yeah.
We'll see what happens with them.
I think to that point, that's going to be a 12 to 15 month study.
Yeah, it's out of ways.
Yeah, and so, realistically, that's probably 2 years out before we're implementing some real changes on that. I think that's fair to consider, and so I think we'll, from a City of Sartell perspective, we'll probably continue to have some conversations of what's the impact of Route 32 What are we losing from the Connect service and how do we supplement that? But we have to get Route 32. I mean, I've agreed with staff, we have to get Route 32 up and running before we can have real conversations. We've got to leverage what the data shows and make decisions from there.
Yep. Yeah, because Connects was just a study, and the study didn't show it to be very popular. So now if we go back to 32, we have those statistics, and we'll have the new Route 32 statistics, and we can look at it that way. Yeah, that'll help.
And I think that's from day one, what kind of the positive of this, this change is that we don't have any post-pandemic data for the Route 32. And it could come in and it could be, this is the new normal, right? And we could see that route is not going to perform like it used to. And I think then we're able to compare and have all of it, as close of an apples to apples comparison as we possibly can to the previous data.
Right. All right, that's it for that, for the updates? All right, department update, Gary?
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Been asked to provide a brief procurement department update today. Do apologize if some of this information overlaps. You know, some of the projects that we're all working on together may have already been reported in some previous updates from other staff. But you know, the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges we're facing is getting buses. That's been, you know, supply chain's been an issue, you know, industry-wide. We're currently looking at, we have grants in place to purchase 3 replacement New Flyer large buses, fixed-row buses. And we're going to be purchasing these buses off of a contract, heavy-duty bus contract that the Duluth Transit Authority put together. It's a consortium contract that the other 5307s in the state of Minnesota, St. Cloud, Fargo Moorhead, Duluth, Rochester are all participating in. There was a delay with that contract completion because of the pandemic. So we, and then with supply chain shortages on top of that, it took a longer than expected time to complete that contract. So some of the initial pricing that was submitted by the bus manufacturers, New Flyer, Gillig, to name a couple, just was no longer feasible for those companies to produce buses at those prices. So there was some price increases requested. New Flyer was asked to provide a justification for those increases, you know, what their costs were, and they were the usual supply chain, labor, some of the delays that they're having with receiving some of their bus manufacturing equipment or materials, excuse me. So long story short, they came back with a request for a 20% increase on their initial contract price that they had submitted. So that was agreed to after an extensive conversation and review of what their price increases all involved. Duluth did agree to implement that 20% increase for that initial first year of the contract, and subsequently that is being passed on to Metro Bus. So that's a significant adjustment as to where we're at. That's going to hit us roughly, I think their initial proposal was about a $545,000 base price per bus. Actually, it was $530,000, and now we're going to be sitting at around $645,000, give or take. I don't remember the exact number, so apologize for that. Some of the shortages that New Flyer's been stating is, chips, computer chips, wiring harnesses, glass. There were some body panel shortages. Apparently those supply chains, that supply chain's corrected itself. But so we're still in discussions about this. We've had an initial spec meeting internally, Dave and the team and myself, Mike Reed, our maintenance manager. We have an idea of how we want to, the specifications we want for these buses. We had an initial conversation with our sales rep from New Flyer, and we asked him to provide us with further updates on this pricing, because a 20% increase just across the board is pretty broad. We want to know what components are you actually increasing that pricing on, and we're still awaiting their response on that. So this force majeure price increase, which it ultimately ended up being, is in place until April 30th of this year, and then after that, they can implement another consumer price producer's price index increase on top of that if they choose. So we're under the deadline to try to get a PO issued before that April 30th deadline. We're pretty confident we can do that, but it's been a slow process overall. So current production schedules are slow. They're estimating we probably won't be able to get in production until 2024, even if we get a PO issued at any given time. But they're going to try to slot us in. It's a 3-bus order, so they're going to try to slot us in this year if possible, but they're not making any promises on that. So that's been a source of frustration for us. Small bus orders, similar scenario. We have 2 POs submitted, one for 5 additional small paratransit buses and one for 3. We had requested that those buses be built all at the same time. Once again, supply chain issues. Ford is behind schedule with building the E450 chassis, which these buses are built on. I asked just today, I said, how have the 2023 chassis been coming in? Are they been made available? And the response was it had been very, very slim. Ford, GM, all the major vehicle manufacturers, they're putting their resource and investments into EV, the electric vehicle market. So, gas driven engines, or even the conversion engines that we are purchasing, so we can convert them to CNG. They've been kind of put on the back burner. So, been a slow process there as well. We're expecting additional price increases for those 8 buses as well. It's been tough on the Minnesota distributors as well. Metrobus has been longtime business partners with distributors such as Tallinn Transportation, Hoagland Bus. They were both recently acquisitioned, so they're no longer family-owned businesses. It's kind of hard to see them go by the wayside, but that's been, again, the result of the pandemic and this ongoing supply chain issue. So tough going there in transit. We're positioned a little better than most transit systems, but public transit as a whole across the country is really struggling at the moment. So a couple other projects that have been in the works. We submitted a solicitation RFP for automatic passenger counters for our fixed route and our commuter coach buses, our MCI buses. We've done manual passenger counts in the past, and we would typically hire temp people to come in and do manual counts for us. And those passenger counts are something that we need to track for our submittal to the what is it called? NTD, National Transit Database Reporting. So we're hoping to purchase some standalone units that we can install on our buses, where everything will be counted automatically. We can pull reports out of there rather than do manual reporting, and we're hoping to get some good equipment out of this process. Had a good response to the RFP. We had 6 vendors respond, and we actually have 6 pre-proposal meetings scheduled next week with those 6 vendors. So that'll give them an opportunity to come in, tell us a little bit about their company, talk about their product, ask any questions that are in relation to the project, and that'll give us the opportunity to kind of send the same message to each and every vendor too, so everybody's hearing the same thing. And that's been a pretty good process for us overall. Let's see, what else? We have an audio-visual equipment project that we recently submitted an RFP for, or published an RFP for. We got a response from 4 different audio-visual vendors for that. What we're looking to do is primarily upgrade the boardroom here. We currently have the 1 monitor. Our audio is suspect at times, video as well. So we're looking to improve the logistics, I guess, of the equipment in this room. It'll make it easier for you gentlemen and everyone else that utilizes this room. So, we're looking at possibly adding more monitors, more audio and visual in the ceilings and things like that. So we're currently evaluating the proposal we received. We haven't awarded the project to anybody yet, but that's ongoing. So let's see, what else? We're in the midst of a the second go-around of an HR information systems and payroll software project. That project is currently in progress. We have narrowed our list of possible vendors down to 2, and we're looking to schedule second round meetings with those 2 individuals. Our biggest hang up with this project has been the migration of all of our employee historical data from one database to another, our database. Metrobus utilizes a homegrown software system called the Metronet, which was developed by a former employee of Metrobus and his son, actually developed by his son. And the issues we're running into is most of the HR and payroll software providers, they're used to migrating data from one HR payroll system into another, not a homegrown system that nobody knows how it's coded, how the data resides. So that's created some challenges for us. And one of the issues that we're looking at is how can we get that data out and into the new system at a cost-effective manner or way. And that's going to be a challenge. It can be done, but I believe it's going to end up being a costly venture for us to do. But on the positive side, once that process is complete, that's going to set us up pretty well for the future here. So we're excited about that project. Future projects ongoing. We have the land acquisition. I don't know if Dave has updated you. We did receive SHPO, which is the State Historical Preservation Office approval for that project. That was a big step in the process, and we're currently awaiting results of the final review from the FTA on that. So there were some public outreach meetings held in Wake Park last week, and the turnout was minimal, I believe. So, but overall, I think we're getting closer to that step. So. Dave mentioned long-range plan, or somebody did. We have a project kickoff meeting scheduled for May 16th for that. So we're excited to get that project started here in a few months. We will have some expense contracts that will be going out for bid on in the coming year. Our tire lease bid is expiring, as well as our waste and recycling contract. We typically sign 5-year contracts for those types of services. And Metrobus, has a provision, I guess, so that when we have that type of ongoing expense, that can get quite costly. We try to competitively bid that every 5 years just to keep people honest, and I think that's a good practice. So we're going to be revising and updating. Paul Masty and I are going to be working on revising and updating some of our procurement policies and procedures, and we'll probably be bringing some of those policies to the board here in the future for your approval. So that's kind of the top of the list. So appreciate it, gentlemen. Sorry if I kept you too long. I'm not going to be cleaning your vehicles out there.
Commissioners, got any questions for Gary?
Yeah, any questions at all? No? Okay, thank you.
All right, if not, we're ready for adjournment.
So,
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 4:30.